All right. So we talked about, we've implemented login, register, we implemented some other routes, but we didn't implement some other few things, right? We didn't implement how to do forget password and reset password, right? And there are actually two ways of doing. All right, so we've talked about login, logout. Okay, we've not done logout, right? We've done login, we've done register and others, right? And then remember that when you're trying to reset your password, they usually send you an email to confirm it's actually you that wants to reset your password, right? So how would you send email, right, to a user that's trying to reset his password, right? And how do you send emails first? Then before we can then talk about like resetting, forget and reset password. Okay. Okay. So that's what we will do in this class, how to do forget and reset password. So let's go over to VS Code. So we'll talk about how to send emails using Nodemailer. Then after that, we are going to see how to implement forget and reset password, right? We are going to see how we can implement the controller for that route. And this time we will do reset password using maybe a link. So let's see how we can do that. Let me share my VS Code for you guys to see. Okay. All right, so this is where we were in our last class, right? Let's just go over. In Auth, we only have register and login, right? And another thing some people do, right, is this controller, most times they move it to maybe another folder or another file, right? So you can have maybe auth controller. Now, you know that this is the controller for this route, right? This function here. So you can decide to write it this way, right? But some people might not want to write it this way. They might move this whole part to another file, just so you know. All right, so this is how you send emails through Node, right? For you to send emails, you would first need to install Nodemailer. And let me make my screen bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll just say npm install Nodemailer, right? And with that, we've installed Nodemailer. Then we need to configure it, right? So after that, now, the way you write your project is important, is very, very important. it might make your project simple for you to scale, like to add more functionalities or remove something easily. There's also how you can write your backend project, and it's going to make it difficult for you to work on it on maybe another time. Another time you want to work on that project, it might look very difficult to you. But this is what I like doing. For any helper function that I might want to use, I like to create a folder, and I can call that folder util or utilities folder. Utilities, right? Or util. Some people like calling it that. In here, I can create a file, and I could call the file send email.js. So this file, everything that has to do with sending email will be inside this file, and then I'll just how do I put it? I would export the functions in this file and then import it somewhere else, wherever I want to send the email to. Okay, so here I would say const node mail should be equals to require then in here I'll say node mailer, right? Then after this, the next thing I have to do is to create a transport layer. So that transport layer is what is going to be used to send the email, right? So I could then say node mailer. I could just call that mailer anyhow I want to do that. So I'll say node mailer dot create transport. So this create transport is used to actually create that part at which your mail is going to go through. Okay. I hope you guys are like following. Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I thought you guys weren't actually seeing my screen or something. Okay, so I'll say create transport. Then in here, oh, sorry, I don't think it's not create transport. I think it's create transport dot so in here you can say the username should be, or first, what you can do to make it even simpler is you can just say options should be equals to an object, right? So one thing I know about node mailer is node mailer accepts the host name, the port, and the password for trying to connect. Okay, so you'd say Gmail here. Okay, you say the username. The username here would be the username of that particular user that you want to use to be sending email. So you can say ukjnr@gmail.com. Then the password you're going to put here is going to be, it's not going to be your normal email password. You have to go and create an application password for you to be able to use, right? For you to be able to use the password here. So how do we create that password? This is how you will do it. Let me share my browser screen with you guys. Oh, let me share my, okay. Okay, so we are here. You just go to your Gmail account normally, right? Gmail.com. Then you can go to manage your Google account. Okay. And then when you go to manage your Google account, you're going to see different options there, right? Your home, personal info, and the rest. Then what you just need to do is you need to come to this security part. I think it's in the security part. You see app password somewhere. It will be around here.
I see what you're doing. You are trying to open your Gmail and it's not opening yet.
It's open. You
It's
guys
not
can
opening. Yes.
okay. Okay. I didn't share the correct screen. Sorry. I didn't share the correct screen. Okay. We are finally here, right? So let's check. Now, for you to get an app password, right? You need
You
to
start from where you open your Gmail.
Okay. Okay. So let me just say all right, so let's say this is my email, right? Gmail, right? When you go to manage account, when you click on this icon and you click manage your account, it will then take you to this interface. Okay. And then on this interface, you'll see security, data privacy, and every other thing. Now, come to the security part. But first, before you can create an app password, you need to have activated two-factor authentication. That's the standard Google set, right? You need to have activated two-factor authentication. Then, amongst these options here, I think it's somewhere here. Let me see. I think it should be this password, or it should be one of those. Let me just search it. If you say app password, okay, see it's there, security, app password. And it's asking me for my password. Okay, so I created like 2 app passwords before,
If I
right?
didn't get paid, that place you got their password. I didn't get it.
Okay,
Where you
what I
click
just
them.
did was I just searched because I didn't see it as one of the what do they call it? One of the options here. I didn't see it. So I just went up here and searched for app password. But once you type, you will see it coming out. App password. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Hello?
Oh, I'm not getting it.
Eh?
I'm not getting it. What I'm getting is password manager, password,
That's
then
because
the
you've
web.
not activated your two-factor authentication.
Okay, okay. Let me activate it.
Yeah, so after activating it, you search for app password, you see it. Okay, so that's how I got to this screen, right? So I could say, I could just call this KodeCamp, right? I want to create an app password named KodeCamp, and I'll just create that, right? So creating that, I'm given this passcode. Now, this is important. You must copy this passcode before clicking done, because after clicking done, you will never see this passcode again, right? Or this password, this auto-generated password, you won't see it again. So if I click on done, the only thing I can do now is I can only delete this password. I can't view it again. There's just only a delete button here. So I could create more and more, maybe depending on the app I want to actually maybe send email with, right? So after creating that app password, now remember this app password is what you'll be using to send like your password or to set your password on NodeMailer. So I've copied that password. Then let's go back to our NodeMailer. Okay. So let me check the options here. There's always a service option. Okay, the service option, there is
I'm lost. I'm still trying to create the two-factor authentication. So I'm not following.
okay. Just do the two-factor authentication first. Then after that, we'll be able to continue. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Here we have now the options you need to pass to your NodeMailer, right? Is just you need to pass service and auth. Now, service here is going to be Gmail. That is the service you are using to send that email, right? Then after service, under here you have auth. Auth here is going to accept an object. The object is going to contain user, which is your Gmail username, and password. So password is going to be PASS. Password is going to be that password that we got, right? Now, another thing you need to know is, remember that now remove this, you are going to remove these spaces here, definitely. Passwords don't usually contain spaces, right? And username and password. So you remove those spaces, and remember that this is supposed to be secret, right? And you can use a different account for test and a different account for your live account. So which means you can move this to your .env. You can move the username and password to your .env, right? So that it's not going to show here, so that you can set a different environment variable when you're deploying, okay? So after that, the next thing you're going to do here is you just pass that options here. Well, writing it like this is the same thing as passing this object directly into the code, right? It's still the same thing. There's no difference. It just depends on like your preference. All right. So then after doing this, right? The next thing you're supposed to do is you're going to export the node mailer. Okay. So you're going to say I think this name might conflict with, so I'll just say mail, or let me just call it send mail to avoid any issue. So I'll change this to maybe send mail. So I'll just say module dot exports. And then in that module dot exports, I'll say module dot export should be equals to send mail. And I always like making it an object. Okay, then the next thing you're going to do is, as you exported it this way, you can always come to any of these files. Where is it? Your auth, where is it? Okay, let's create that route to actually send the email. So you come here, you say router dot, let me use get. So you say forget password. Okay, if I use get, then I won't be able to accept the body, right? So I'll then have to use a post request here. Say forget password. Then in this forget password here, we'll just put our normal try catch. Then inside this try catch, just say request response. Then here I could then say console.log error. Then I could respond with error.message if there is any error.message, but if there is no error.message, you can then respond with maybe internal server error. Then we'll also do the same thing with status. You say status should be error dot I guess network just not now. Really bad. Okay, let's continue from where we stopped. So I will import send, right? Then at this point, what I like to do is I will create a random token, right? I could create a random token and I could create a random token and pair with that person's email and save it somewhere, right? So that I can use it to confirm that maybe that person. This is what I mean. We can come to the models or the schema folder, right? Let me create a new file. I'll just call this forget password. There's a way to actually still implement this without needing to create any place to save anybody's detail, right? That's you can use encryption, decryption, right? You can encrypt maybe someone's email and send it to the person, and then the person sends it back with his new password, and then you can decrypt it at your back end, right? But that's like rather long. So I think this is like a shorter way to me or for me. So I'll just come here and say const mongoose is equals to require mongoose, right? Then here we could say schema should be equals to since this is a class, I'll say schema should be equals to mongoose dot schema. Then here I could say password reset schema should be equals to new schema. And in this schema, I'll just say the user ID. The user ID should be a string. The type should be a string. I used the new keyword, see it here. the type should be a string. The the type should be an is it object ID dot type? I can't remember that. Mongoose schema types object ID. Okay, so it should be in mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID, and we want this to reference the user schema. So if you check here, what's the user schema here? Users. So I want to reference that user schema. So I'll say RAF should be users. Then another thing I would say is that require should be true, right? Required should be true for the user ID, and I'll just say token. I could say token should have a type of string, right? And required should be true. Then what I would want to do here is also I could use another technology named UUID. So I'll say npm install UUID. Now, what is UUID used for? I can use UUID to generate unique IDs, right? And the possibility of those IDs colliding is less, right? It's almost impossible if you're using UUID. When I mean collision, I mean the trying to maybe generating the same ID twice, right? So using a library like UUID makes it less like possible to generate such an ID, okay, twice. So at this point, I'm getting this, then I remember I need to create a model. So I'd say const model should be equals to mongoose dot model. The model name is going to be forget password. Forget password. Then I'll pass in that password reset schema here, schema, right? I could call this forget password collection. And of course, I need to export that. So I'll then say module.export equals to forget password collection. Okay. Right. So I've done this. What's next to do? I'll come here, or I'll come to the auth route. The first thing to do is const user collection, or const user should be equals to await user collection dot find one, right? And remember that our user has an email, right? Our user has an email. So we'll come here and we'll say email. So we are saying find the user where his email is this email, right? Then you can say if there is no user, then you want to return a response. You can say no user found. And of course, remember your status code. Status code is going to be 404. Okay, but then if we find that user, right? If we are sure that we found that user, then we can generate a unique ID for him, right? So how do we generate that unique ID for that user? I come here, say const, this should be equals to require UID. And then in here, you can say V3 or V4. Now, we have different versions of the UIDs, right? V1, V2, V3, V4. Okay, V1, V3, V4, V5. You can go to npm.js and read more about how UIDs work. What is the difference between the version 1, version 2? But then version 4 is what is mostly used, right? So I could say version 4 as UID. So this is me saying I'm importing version 4, but I want to rename version 4 as UID. I could just leave it as maybe import version 4, finish. Right? In fact, let me leave it that way. Then coming down here, I'd say if this user is found, right? If the user is found, then what we want to do is would say forget password collection. Remember, this is a promise you're sending to the database, right? Forget password collection dot create. And before we create, we need to create a unique ID for that user. So we'll say const UID should be equals to V4. Okay. Then here we'll say the user ID would be user._ID, which is the user's ID. The token, remember that this accepts a token too. The token will be the UID that we've created using UUID, the library name UUID. Then the next thing we are going to do here is we'll then say we want to send an email. So we'll say send email or send mail, right? And this send mail is going to accept an object. Now, that object should contain the email of the person you want to create. It should contain, yeah, I think it's to, yes. So the to is the person you're going to send it to, which is the user's email. So you can just say to, then you'd say email. Then you can attach a subject. Subject is going to be maybe password reset, right? Then you can decide to attach HTML or ordinary text to your to the email that you want to send to that user. So that one is totally up to you. If you just want to send only text to the user, you can do that. If you want to send HTML to the user, which is going to be processed as normal HTML, then you can also do that. So if you want to send text, you say text, and then you put your text. But me, I want to send HTML, so I'll say HTML. So HTML, and I'll use backticks for this HTML. What did I just do? Okay, so then inside here, you can now write your normal HTML, right? D. Then in here, you can write an H1 here, and you can say maybe call this password reset, right? Then under here, you can have another div. Then inside this div, you can then write maybe what you want the user to do. Maybe you can tell the user, click here to reset your password, right? And the link you're going to put here can take them to maybe front end, right? But remember that this link should contain the UID, the unique ID, right? That link should contain the unique ID that you can use, okay? You can then say, click here to reset your password. Then remember this here, you can make it a link, right? You can make it a link. So maybe href equals to the link to the front end that the user can use to put his email, right? Or sorry, put his new password, right? So then after doing this, right? Let's just leave that way, right? Or we can also do something like this. We can I can attach the UID directly. So I could say or use this UID. So now the route we want to reset the password, route.post is still going to be a post. You can make it get depending on you. This you can even make it a put route. I think put because we are trying to change the password. So I'll say password reset async remember your try catch, right? Then you copy all these parts, copy it, paste it there. Then at this point here, what I will mainly do, and remember you need to pass the token, right? So it's up to you. How do you want the user to pass it? You want the user to pass it as a parameter or as a body? Well, I like body more. So I would say const should be equals to request.body. I can say that the new password, right? And then the token. So the new password is going to be the new password the user wants to change to, right? And then the token will be the token to find that user to change his password. Then you can then do something like this, const, right? Okay, yeah. You can say const, how do we, so what do we want to do next? What we want to do next is we want to check if that user with that token exists on the tokens collection. So say pause to, then what did I call that? I called it forget password collection. So I say forget password collection dot find one, and I'll say where the token, right? Where the token is the token sent here. If there is no user, if the user is empty, we can return a response with a status of maybe 400 and a text of invalid token, But then if we find a user, right, then we can change his password. So remember that before you change your password, you need to hash it before changing. So you can say that const hashed password should be equals to decrypt dot hash sync, and then inside this hash sync, you pass in the password you want to hash, which is the new password that is sent from front end. Then the sort is going to be decrypt.gen sort sync, and I want it to be 10 rounds of generating the sort. Right? So this is it. So what we would have here is the new hash password. I could even name it new hashed password. I think that is better. Then the next thing we need to do now is we can then say await, look for that user. So user collection dot find by ID and update. So we are going to find the user with the ID that we got from the forget password collection. We'll then say user dot underscore ID, which is going to return the user's ID for us. We didn't write await here, so that's why it wasn't showing that. If I write user dot underscore, yeah, it now shows ID. Then in here, we'll then say that the password of the user should be the new hashed password. Okay, so we are finding the user, we are updating that user with his new hash password, right? Then after that, what I like doing is I used to delete, I like deleting this, that particular token or that particular record I created in the forget password collection. So I could say await forget password collection dot find one and delete. So find one and delete where the token is that particular token, right? Because there's no use of me keeping that token again. Then after that, I can respond with a message that the password has been changed successfully. Right? There are some things I missed out here, which is request response. Okay. Let me check here if I also missed that. I didn't miss it here. So we've done these two routes, right? And then let's test it out to see if it actually works. Let's come over to our test.rest. Okay. So remember that this is my username, email, password. Okay, this is to register, right? Okay, that's register. Let's move over to login. And I would like to use this credential. So I'll copy it and paste there.
Sorry, please, I missed some things from that change user password, update password, and password
Okay, to
reset.
update password.
Mm, and the password reset. It's like we didn't use the hash password, the new hash password. Did we use it? Okay. Wait.
Oh,
That's not it.
okay. Sorry. What were you were saying? We did
That's
what?
what the change was. I didn't use the find
We didn't use
token
what?
and update. Wait, I'm trying to get. I wrote token there instead of okay, user ID.
Here.
I haven't gotten. I think I made a mistake. I skipped one part.
Which is which part?
I skipped the you find and update. I wrote.
They define what?
It's like I interchanged it for one another. I didn't put the part there. There's one part I didn't put, and I used the
Oh,
wrong.
okay. Okay, and it's not working for you, right?
I've not even tested it. I'm just trying to get the correct.
Okay. Okay. You test it later on. Let me just finish and test it, then you can sort out that's your issue.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember that forget password accepts the email, right? So, but first, let me even confirm if I can log in. NPM starts. Okay, so we already have an issue here. What is it saying? It's saying cannot read property of undefined input. Okay, so let's see. Where is it coming from? Hot.js line 104. So let's come down here, line 104. It's saying it can't read. Why is that happening? It's because we are using a router here, but here I'm using route, which is not correct. So I'm supposed to use router.put, right? So I use router.put here, router.post, right? And everything is working well. If I try to log in now, click to send. Yeah, I've successfully logged in, right? I've been given a token, right, to log in. Okay,
Point.
Hello, hello. Yes. Network is really dealing with me. Ah, okay. Sorry about that. Like network just cut me. I don't know why. Okay. Okay, let me restart this so it connects to the database. Okay. Let me send this request. And when I send that request, okay, it's saying no authorization header. Okay. Let's see. It's not supposed to send no authorization header, and let's see why that is happening. Is there a place I put a middleware? Is there any place I put a middleware? Forget password. I didn't put any middleware. Okay, apart from this middleware here.
I think digital login should be at the top.
You say?
Digital login, check the top. Okay,
No,
not there.
it's not there. Profile. It's only in the profile that I actually used a middleware to check if the user is logged in before we can then give him his profile details. But in forget password, we didn't use that. Okay. And you reset password, so we didn't use anything like that. So let me check it again. Post to this route. Oh, wait, slash v1 slash what? I didn't include the auth. That's the reason why. So it's slash v1 slash auth slash then forget password. So if I send that request now, I should have a positive response, right? Email sent successfully. Yay. So let me check my email if that is sent successfully, right? Uh, so let's go to my browser. Let me share my screen. All right, so if I go to um, gmail.com, I should see an email. Yes, see it here. See the email here. The email is from me, ME, password resets. And if I click on it, you see, click here to reset your password or use this UID. And this is the UID that was generated. This long stuff was set of characters. So I can copy this UID from here, Control C. Then I can go back to my VS Code now. So you see, it has successfully sent that email to me. Then let's go back to our VS Code. Then on our VS Code, we want to set a new password, right? So I could come down here, use a post request to HTTP localhost colon 4000 slash v1 slash auth slash reset pass. Was a push request instead. Application slash JSON, application slash JSON. Then here, what do we need to pass pass in, let's go back. We need to pass in a token password. Then I need to pass in new password. New password. So I'll come back here, password. Then the new Victor, right? That should be the new password. This should be password reset, not reset password. Password hyphen, then reset. All right, so if I send that, you see, password changed successfully. So which means my password has been changed successfully. For me to confirm if my password is changed successfully, remember that this was my former login details, right? If I come here and I try to send that request again, okay, it's still logging in. So which means there's an error somewhere which I have to check. Let's come back here to auth. Let's see. We are finding and updating. We're saying the password should be the new hashed password. And then after that, so let me check this out. Password is string. All right, so let me just read through my, okay. I don't know, status of 400 invalid token, right? We create, hash the password, which is this new password. Then we say user collection, find a user with this user ID from the token. Okay. This won't work. This is not going to work. It's supposed to be, remember that this forget password contains user ID and token, right? The user's ID is supposed to be user.user ID. Yes, user.user ID, not underscore ID. That underscore ID is the ID for that particular record, while the user ID is the user for that particular record. So let's go and try again. I think that was the only error I made, right? So let's come back here. Where is it? Forget password, right? I'll send that request and then I get a response that, yeah, email has been sent successfully. If I go to my email, let me I'm back. Net Network is really dealing with me. All right, so I guess I'll just share my screen. Okay, I need to let me restart so that it will connect to the server. It will connect to database. Okay, connection timed out. Okay, so let me make that put request to Discord. Ah, okay, so it's saying password changed successfully. If I come back here and my details, it should give me an error message. It should give me an error. It should generate an error. Yeah, it generates an error. It says invalid credential, right? But let me change this to Victor, and then send the request one more time. All right, so you see that it has then sent using the old password, it doesn't send me that token again, right? And I can't use this token again to try to reset my password. I can't use this token again because the token has been deleted, right? So even if I come back here and try to do something else, where is it? Where is it? Maybe I come back here and I try to use the same token again. It just shows me invalid token, which means that token I'm trying to use is not valid anymore, right? You can so that's like housing. Send. Hello, did you guys see what I did? The last thing I just did. Hello, did you see what I just did? All right, okay, guys. So that that's it. I don't know if there's anybody that has any question you guys want to ask. Hello. Hello?
I just want to, I don't know whether you're through with your test, although I don't get it yet, but I want to still check the content of the auth for the first part, forget password.